A very good evening and welcome back to Havana Media. My name is Boniface Owino, and as usual I'm going to be your host for today. Now, one man's cult is another man's religion. The death of more than 21 pupils have brought a lot of questions in people's minds, whereby even parents are even afraid taking back their pupils because they fear that right now, if at all they take them to school, they can also ban just like other pupils have banned in the dormitories. A lot of questions have popped into other people in people's minds, whereby some are asking that was it really an accident that caused the death of more than 21 pupils? If at all it was an accident, why was the dormitory's door locked from outside? Where was the teacher on duty? Where were the security guards during the time that fire broke up? Where was the school matron and the school patron during this incident? Are we being led by bloodthirsty leaders who does not even care about the status, about the lives of young men or the life of fellow Kenyans? Right now, some parents are being convinced by the words of Rigathi Gachagua together with the First Lady Ruto, saying that it was God's will for the students or for the kids to burn down. Is it really the nature, or is it really God's will for young men, young children, innocent boys and girls to die in a dormitory? Was it really God's nature? Was it really God's will for such kind of incident to happen in school? Is it really wrong right now if we say that something is wrong somewhere? Because as it stands right now, no one can convince us that we are living under a very normal circumstance and that we are living in a very good status situation in the country. Leaders are coming up and talking about it, saying that it was God's nature, just like I've said. But in real sense, we cannot be convinced that this one was God's nature. Who is behind all these things? Because if at all it was God's nature, only one school could have burned down. Right now, there are more than 5 schools that are banned just this morning. Another two to three schools, dormitories, have banned. One in Uasin Gishu, another one in Bungoma. We cannot tell exactly the cause of the banning.
Wamejaribu lakini they are tried.
Para kubera.
Unajua?
Amekuja. Amekuwa kwa nyuma.
Nani huyo?
Amekuwa kwa nyuma.
Ndio nilelea watoto.
Amekuwa kwa nyuma na baba.
Ana habari kubwa. Unataka kumesha mtu.
Who will come out to tell us exactly what has been going on? Because right now it is very much painful for leaders. It is very much painful for parents to lose their kids. How can you take your kid to school knowing that this child is going back to learn, and then at the end of the day you receive a phone call from the school fraternity that it is very unfortunate that your children or your child died during fire breakup that burned almost 21 kids in one room? Stopping the primary boarding the only solution that can solve all these problems, because those pupils still have got no knowledge of how they can handle themselves. Being left alone in a room simply because the teachers also are going to sleep in their very comfortable houses is something that needs to be questioned. Those are the questions that are leaving us Kenyans without answers, expecting them to be answered by the people who we know very well that will not come outside to answer such kind of questions, because they know that it will put them under pressure. The second question, or the second story, is about Mbadi telling us Kenyans that we are going to pay the debt.
Continue to remain where we are. The chair budget has just told you. Our intention as a country was to have a budget deficit of 597 billion. But now we have a budget deficit of 767 billion, which is 170 billion more than what we had planned to have to realize and actualize a policy of fiscal consolidation. And we are doing it at a time when we are struggling to debt service the debt that we have already. So probably where I disagree a bit with the chair budget is that the money we are paying to service the debt is not disappearing in thin air. It is money we are paying for commitments, for money that we used before in this country. Whether we misused it, that is our indiscipline and bad manners. We should not blame the people who gave us the money. It is upon us to make sure that we pay back. We must pay our debts. We have no issue. We have no two ways about it. There is no debt restructuring in this country. We will not accept it. We will not do it. We will manage our debts and pay and remain afloat.
In as much as they're telling us to pay the debt, there are a lot of questions that we also need to ask. That before we pay the debt, because paying the debt is not a problem, Kenyans are free, Kenyans are willing to pay the debt. But before bringing it on to us, telling us to pay the debt, these are the questions that the government needs to answer. Question number one: how much was borrowed during the borrowing? After telling us how much was borrowed, the government needs to break this money down to us, that how much was used, how much has been paid, and how much is remaining, so that we Kenyans can know the period that we're going to use to pay this money. Before paying the money, we also need to know exactly the money that was borrowed. What did the money do? How many projects did the money that was borrowed do? If at all there is no single project that the government can tell us that this is the money, that this is the project that the money which we borrowed used to do. We are talking about under the government of William Samoei Ruto, because we know that at least during the time of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, there is some money that was borrowed. At least we can be told that it was used to build the SGR, the standard gauge railway line that comes from Mombasa to Nairobi. But during the time of William Samoei Ruto, can he be accountable? Can he tell us? Can he break it down to us and tell us that this is the money that was borrowed and this is how it was used? And then after that, Kenyans are free to pay the debt. How are we going to pay the money? How are we going to pay the fund that did not even reach the consolidated fund of the country? It is very much painful. It is very much shocking how the government is telling us Kenyans that we're going to pay debt. Yet we don't even have enough money that can fund the government's developments. So where is the money that we are being told to pay is going to come from? Yet even the ones that we can use for our development is not there. Are we still going to increase tax so that the government can get money to pay back the debt that we've not even seen what it did for us? The last question about borrowing the money is this: were Kenyans involved? Were Kenyans told when the government was going to borrow money outside that they are going to borrow such amount of money and this money is coming to Kenya to do such kind of things? That right now, wakati ambapo kimewaramba is when they are telling us that they want Kenyans to pay back the money that was borrowed. After all, guys, those are the questions that a lot of people are asking, and I also need to know what you think at the comment section. But just a reminder, if you're meeting for the first time, please don't forget to click the subscribe button. You can also like, share, and drop me a comment and tell me what you think and where you're watching us from. As I normally say, the feedback is normally the key thing in any form of communication. I not fail to appreciate those who have been giving us support, because without a support, this channel cannot grow and it cannot be where it is as now. Until we meet again, I've been your host, Boniface Owino. Bye-bye.